Ira Serkes, and Carol is in back. You met her when you come in, and we're the hosts of The Art of Downsizing. Rachel Schneider, we're talking about getting ready. Now, I don't know about you, but we've lived in our house in Thousand Oaks for over 30 years, and our house is filled with, I'll just say, stuff. And if we ever wanted to move, I'd say, where would I get started? How would I do it? So Rachel will give a really good presentation on that. And she also has another skill. She has many skills, but the other skill that she has is helping people get settled in. When we moved into our house, it probably was about 6 or 8 months before we had all the boxes unpacked. So she'll talk about that too.
Good evening, everyone. Hello. Can you hear me okay? Yes. Wonderful. Thank you, Ira, for that wonderful introduction. I'll introduce myself again. My first name's Rachel, last name is Schneider, and my company is called Bluebell Concierge. We work with Bay Area families, and we help them manage the details, the stressors, and the logistics of moves and of home projects. Tonight, specifically, as Ira mentioned, I'm going to be focusing on the organization, the pre-move planning, and the decluttering piece. Over the past 5 years, we've worked with many clients that have been overwhelmed with the process of downsizing, and it is quite overwhelming and staggering to think about moving from a home that you've lived in for 30 years or longer, but it's definitely not an impossible task, and there are many upsides. It's been estimated that we only use 20% of the belongings we have. So we have a lot of stuff. And over time, we accumulate more and more stuff. But with the process of downsizing, we are given the opportunity to really focus on ourselves and think about what we really need for the next phase of our life. So I like to tell our clients to keep that in mind, that despite the challenges of the process, there are definitely benefits as well. So in your folder, actually, there are a couple of handouts from have the Bluebell logo on the top, and I'm going to be referring to one of them for the next couple minutes. It's the one that has downsize the top. I'm a huge fan of acronyms. I find it helps me remember things and create a process. With downsizing, I think having a process that works for you, works for your system, works for your home and your budget and your timeline is really critical. So I'm going to talk a little bit about 3 of the letters on the handout, D, S, and W, but I encourage you to look through it and use it as a guide, see what resonates with you. Those are just words and ideas that I think resonate very strongly with me and some of the families we've worked with. But I'm going to go ahead and start with D, which is delegate. I think many people that are going through the downsizing process are overwhelmed because they feel like they're going at it alone. But I want to be the one to tell you, if you haven't heard it yet, that there are plenty of professionals, local companies that can help you with the process. So at Bluebell, when we start an engagement with a family, the first thing that we do is we do a home walkthrough. And the goal of that walkthrough is really to assess the space, the stuff, and see what providers we can bring in to help make downsizing less overwhelming. So I'm going to kind of go through that walkthrough, a streamlined version with you now to help encourage you to think of different types of providers you can bring in to make sure you don't feel like you're at it alone. So oftentimes, when I walk into a client's home, there are a couple of rooms that stand out where there's a lot of stuff. One of those areas is an office. How many people here have an office that's filled with paper? A lot of people. My office is filled with paper, but I've made sure that I've shredded a lot of the sensitive documents, and I try to keep everything up to date from the past 7 years. Aubrey, I'm sure we'll talk more about that and what to keep. But the point is that paper is overwhelming, and we're worried about getting rid of it, because we don't know if we need it, what we need, if we'll need to refer back to it. But it can be made much less overwhelming when you actually have the knowledge of what you actually need to keep. And the things that you don't need to keep, it's really great to have a company that can really help manage the shredding. There's a great company called Miracle Shred that will come to your house, pick up all of your sensitive documents, and guarantee a secure shredding process, and they charge about $10 a box. To me, that beats sitting in front of my shredder with 12 pages individually, so that's a great example of a delegation. Another area that tends to be overwhelming can be a spare bedroom. I'm sure many of you have extra bedrooms in your house that you're not using so frequently, and sometimes those bedrooms become more of a storage space with furniture, kind of overfilled closets, and many other things that you're not using all the time. So when you're walking into those spaces on this, when we're walking into those spaces on these walkthroughs, we like to think of different people that we can bring in to delegate this stuff to. So in some cases, this stuff is something that you want to give to a friend or family member. Sometimes it's something that you want to give to a cause, so a local charity that is looking for a dining set for a game room or something like that. So as you do these walkthroughs, it's important to think about the types of people that you can bring in. In this case, maybe a donation, a charity like Salvation Army, Goodwill, Red Cross, all who happen to offer free curbside donation pickup, which is a great thing to keep in mind. And I'm going to move away from delegate now and talk about S, which is the sort, and that's kind of where I'm going to focus my time today. I brought some tools with me. I'm going to refer to them verbally, and then after tonight, feel free to come by and take a look at them. I think on the topic of creating a process with your stuff, it's really important to have the right tools in hand. So a color-coded system, much like you see up here, this is a simplified example of the 3 categories you want to keep in mind when going through your stuff. The donate, keep, and toss piles are ones that we think of are kind of front of mind. It's really easy to say, I want to keep that I'm ready to part with. You might want to donate that, or, oh, hey, that belongs to my friend Sherry, and I should really get it back to her. So, so that's actually another pile that's really important, which I like to call the action pile. We tend to have a lot of stuff that might not necessarily belong to us, or the vacuum, the battery's broken, I've been meaning to send it to the local repair shop and I haven't done it yet. So that action pile is really one to keep in mind as well. The goal with the exercise of going through your home area by area, and honestly drawer by drawer sometimes, is that you'll start to see trends, things that you don't need anymore. When you start thinking about your new space, which is most likely a space that's reduced by at least half, you'll think about, do I really have room in my new house for my 3rd sofa? Or do I have room in my house for this huge toolbox? Or, whatever the thing may be. So with this process, it can be really challenging, but some of the best practices that we've found are really to work slowly. I think the fact that you're all here is a great indicator that you're planning ahead. So maybe you're thinking about downsizing. You're probably thinking about downsizing, and hopefully you have a couple of months or more time than that to really get everything in order. For most people, this process of going through your stuff can take, months, not days. So it's great to really think about having a timeline and holding yourself accountable. I'm going to move now to the W, which is work. And most people, myself included, really there's a lot of emotional and physical exhaustion after about 2 or 3 hours of working and going through your stuff. So some of us are very excited, and though you're overwhelmed, you say, I'm just going to tackle this in a month, or I'm going to work all day in my garage and go through all my stuff. It's much easier to actually work in smaller spurts of time, because you can really put all of your energy into it. So there's definitely no one way to go through your stuff, but it's important to find a process that's comfortable for you. And we like to recommend working on this over the course of, let's just say 3 months, at least once a week, maybe twice a week for 2 hours, or, try it out. And I'm actually gonna talk a little bit about the things I brought with me, because I think sometimes visuals can be very helpful. When you're sorting your stuff, it's important to have uniformity. Sometimes it's really easy to use bags and boxes we have around the house. You have them, it does, why go out and buy new things? But I think it's really important, in order to keep this process in order, is to have the right tools. So as I was mentioning earlier, having a color-coded system can be really helpful. Everyone has their favorite kind of sticky note or thing that they use to mark their belongings. Some of these things might look familiar to you. These are just standard colored dot stickers, which can be great. So in this example, we can have donate in pink, keep in orange, and toss in green. Some people prefer the use of Post-its, which are also wonderful because the sticky dots tend to leave a residue. My favorite tool, however, is colored masking tape. So masking tape comes in so many different colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue. I love masking tape because I think it's the perfect adhesive, and you can use as much of it as you want. So that's a great tool for color coding. And on the topic of sorting, as I mentioned, you really want to have uniformity. So in order to avoid doing a lot of rework and redoing a lot of the time that you've spent sorting, having containers dedicated to each category can be really helpful. So for example, your donate pile, maybe you're gonna say, everything I'm donating that's soft, like blankets or towels or whatever, I'm gonna put into big green compost bags. This is all turned, but this is a huge compost bag, and it's great because they're large and they're pretty sturdy. Then you're gonna say, I'm going through my garage and finding a lot of trash, so things that I can't really give to a friend or to a charity. Dedicate the hefty black trash bag for trash. For shredding materials, maybe you can choose, just a paper grocery bag. I think the point is to really have a system and stick to it. Another tool that I love is a label maker. This is something that you can pick up at your local office store or online, although we love supporting our local shops, so these are all things that are readily available. The benefit of a label maker is that if you're labeling files or storage containers of any sort, the uniformity, again, is really good on the eyes. It makes things easier to find when things look the same. You have a white background and a bold capitalized black text that says tax paperwork or home files. That uniformity is fantastic. So this is a great label maker. You're happy to take a close look at it after today. A measuring tape is a great thing to have on hand as well. If you know that your new home is a 2-bedroom condo and you're moving from a 5,000 square foot home, your new home may only have 10 feet of master bedroom storage, whereas your old home had 30 feet of master bedroom storage. It's actually really important to bust out a measuring tape. And really, when you're deciding what to keep and what to donate, take the measurement and say, okay, right now my closet is 30 feet. I need to actually eliminate a huge portion of that. So that's a great thing to keep on hand when you're moving. When it is time to pack on move day, or hopefully before move day, and you're thinking about how you want to go about packing, a great local company that is based here in the East Bay is called ZipGo. This is their moving box. Instead of a cardboard box, which I'm sure many of you have seen, this is their recycled plastic moving box. It's actually really fantastic. Not only are you reducing your environmental impact, but you also have the benefit of not dealing with the work of putting cardboard boxes together. I can't tell you how much time me and my team have spent actually picking up boxes from U-Haul, spending the time putting tape on them. Even when you have this handy dandy tape gun, it's still a lot of work and it can be quite physically exhausting. So Zipco is wonderful. They will drop off these great boxes and they will pick them up for you after a move. So those are some of our favorite tools, and I encourage anyone to take a closer look at them after the presentation. I hope this presentation helped everyone think a little bit more about having an organized process when downsizing. It's really difficult to go through your stuff, but when you have the help of qualified movers, maybe a hauling service, your local garbage pickup company, a shredding service, and many others, the process is actually much less overwhelming. So please look at downsizing as something where you can actually spend more time with yourself and the things that are really important to you.
Thank you.
The name of the company with the green box is called Zipco. So it's Z-I-P-P-G-O, Zipco. And I didn't mention the cost of those boxes is actually the same as the cost of cardboard.
Really?
Yes. So no, you don't keep them, which is actually a benefit. So they drop them off and then they pick them up when you're ready. And the benefit is actually that it encourages you to unpack more quickly because you're paying actually by how long you keep them. So of course the cost factors into that. But if I think over the period of 2 weeks or so, 2 to 3 weeks, there actually is the same cost as a cardboard box. This woman up front just asked if you have these important documents such as tax documents and you scan them in so they're now digitized files, does the digitized file suffice for formal purposes? I believe in most cases it does, but I'm going to actually probably have Aubrey touch on that because that's more her area. But I think digitizing paperwork is a really wonderful way to reduce your stuff, and there are specialists that are so streamlined and can really work page by page if anyone's interested in that. She asked, what do you do with family artifacts and valuable heirlooms if the next generation doesn't want them? How do you maybe sell them, or if they are valuable and you want to take advantage of that but you don't necessarily want to hold on to them through the transition? So with valuable items, there are really wonderful appraisers that can come in to take a look and assess the value. Auction houses can also send out a representative to look through your items. There are also more non-conventional ways to do it yourself, but those are, that would probably be my recommendation. Antique dealers are also a great option, but generally you're not getting the full value there. That's my understanding. But that's another one where you bring in a professional and they would really be able to help you figure out what's valuable, what the value is, what you can expect to get back for something like that, so you can make that choice.